Hello everyone, Nicole here, and I'm so glad you joined me today. I wanted to talk about a very basic thing today, black ink. There are a lot of black inks on the market, and I know that as a beginner and sometimes even as a seasoned crafter, when you see something new come out, you're wondering, is that the right black ink for me? What's so special about it? What should I have? All those good questions. And especially for beginners, why are there so many black inks and which ones do I really need? So today I've pulled out my two absolute go-to favorites, Versafine Clear and Memento Tuxedo Black. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the difference between the two and why I have both of them. So that way you can understand that a little bit better and know exactly which ink to reach for when you're working on your projects. All right, so let's look at Memento first. This is a fade-resistant dye ink, and it is designed for paper. You're not going to use it on other surfaces because it's water-based. It will bead up on other surfaces, and it is really great for using with your alcohol markers. So Copic, Spectrum Noir, artist markers from Altenew, all those different brands out there. All right, and I'm just going to stamp a little sample here so you can see what the images look like once they've been stamped. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I just re-inked this, so an ink pad will last for as long as you treat it nicely and you continue to add ink to it when it dries out, right? So a dry ink pad, as long as it's not like crusty and gross, you just need to add some re-inker to it and you will bring it back to life. I've had this Memento pad for years, like literally probably 10 years, okay? So I just re-inked it, but you can see that I still have not a really crisp image here. I probably would need to ink over it twice using a stamp positioner to get that solid color. And then when you look at the small words here and the hello, you will see that there's a little bit of fuzziness around the edges. And that's because the dye spreads into the paper very easily and very quickly while it's still wet. So it's going to spread out a little bit in some of these cases. So it's not always the best choice for doing small sentiments, which are very popular right now. And if you do want a solid image, you may have to restamp more than once. But what it is great for is for artist markers. So these are the alcohol-based markers that you see people using all the time. And this will not react with the marker. So I'm not going to get any kind of smearing or blending. Since they are not alike, water, these are alcohol, this is water, they don't play together. That means that I'm not reactivating the ink and it's not going to move. On the flip side, if I wanted to do some watercoloring with this, I may run into problems where I'm reactivating that ink, and you can see already like I'm starting to get a gray-green color. It's orange, it's clearly orange, but I'm putting it over and you'll see that it starts to reactivate that black, and I am not going to have a very good result with that. So remember, you have to use opposites with each other. So a dye ink, a water-based ink, works well with alcohol markers. A water-based ink does not work well with watercolor. All right, so let's talk about Versafine Clear. Now, if you have the original Versafine, it is very similar, if not exactly the same. It's just in a different form factor. I love Versafine Clear. I love the packaging that it comes in. I love the ink pad. I love the way that this color lays down, and let me tell you why. So it is a pigment ink. It is oil-based. So whereas Versamagic is a chalk ink and it's a water base, this is oil-based, which means it is not going to mix with water. So I am using Versafine Clear for my watercoloring outlines. I'm also using it for solid images and for really small, fine stamped images. So let's take a look, and you can see how that just inks up unbelievable. It lays on a photopolymer or a rubber stamp just spectacularly. It is slow drying, so you can use it for heat embossing. and it is going to give you the most amazing impression the first time. Okay, so let's compare that to the Memento. This was only stamped once, and there's a lot of little spots in here that are still white, so I would want to stamp it again. And even if I did, it would be, the black would be different because it is settled into the paper, so it's always going to look a little lighter. Look at how beautiful and dark and crisp and gorgeous that black is. It does an amazing job with fine images and fine lines, okay? But does Versafine Clear have a weakness? Yes, it does. It's alcohol markers. So let's take a look at our alcohol markers and what's going to happen. It is going to pick up some of that ink and move it around. See, I have a little bit on my nib right now, so I'd have to clean that off. All right, so not so great with the alcohol markers. If you heat set it, you may end up with better results. But what it's really great for is watercoloring. So that black line is not going to move no matter how much water I lay down. It's going to stay nice and crisp, and it's going to continue to look gorgeous throughout the entire watercoloring process. Okay, so that's why these two really are key for beginners, advanced. These are the first two black inks that I would ever purchase as a new crafter for sure. If you are a seasoned crafter and you were using Versafine, check out Versafine Clear. It comes in a whole bunch of different colors. They all have the same properties, so if you wanted to do a blue outline or a green outline or a purple outline, you would end up with the same results. It does beautiful with those solid stamped images, and you will get a lot of success right away with that kind of look. All right. All right, now that we've covered the two basic must-haves, let's look at two others for a quick bonus. The Versacolor is a pigment ink as well, just like the Versafine Clear. However, it is a water-based pigment ink. So that means that you're not going to want to use it with watercoloring, but you can use it with alcohol markers. It does clean up with just a regular chamois or water, just like the Versafine Clear and the Memento. All three will clean up with just water or a stamp, a regular stamp cleaner. Nothing too exciting there. But the Versacolor is also really great for blending. So if I just take a little sponge dauber, you can see that it works really well. Actually, you can't because I have it off the screen. There we go. You'll see that it works really, really well in a blending situation. So if you love to do ink blending and you're looking for a black to add, this works really well for ink blending. All right, so Versacolor, and this lid is just getting me today, guys. All right, so Versacolor, similar but different than the Versafine Clear. Okay, and you can see the black is still not as intense. It's because it has soaked into the paper more than it sits on top with the Versafine Clear. So again, it has its own uses. And then finally, StazOn. Now this is a complete solvent ink. It's been on the market forever and a day. And it does require a StazOn cleaner to clean your stamps. Now you can stamp on paper with StazOn, but I don't necessarily recommend it because, and I didn't really get that inked up well, because it kind of sticks and sometimes it will pull up your paper. There's really no reason to do StazOn on paper. Sometimes you'll end up with a result like that, or it will just pull the paper up. So you definitely have better choices when you're talking about paper. But if you're talking about specialty papers like metallics, it does really, really well. As you can see, I got a beautiful image on that. Gorgeous, right? And it also works excellent on acetate. So StazOn really is designed for the mixed media artist or the DIYer that is doing projects with something other than paper. So it sticks to metal, it sticks to acetate, it sticks to other plastics, it sticks to glass. It's really a fantastic product for all sorts of other multimedia applications. So then this will not clean up with water. See, it doesn't really come off. You have to use your StazOn cleaner for that. All right, so 2 bonuses for you guys, just to understand a little bit more about StazOn and Versacolor if you happen to have them already. But like I said, if you're getting started or if you're just looking for that perfect black ink, these 2 are my go-to. So I hope you enjoyed this look into the black inks of the crafting world. If you have any questions, of course, you can always leave them in the comments. There's always a supply list in the description. There are hundreds of other black inks out there. If you ever have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thanks so much for stopping by today, and until next time, happy crafting.